So I thought I'd make some more videos on my homeless experience for those that have the opportunity to or have the time. My guess is when they make these videos, if it's ever watched, what they do is I think maybe cut out certain segments and then probably feed it to celebrities or whoever it is, because it takes a very long time. Nobody has hours to sit around in front of a YouTube video, and particularly my storytelling isn't all that well, because I'm sort of talking about so many subjects as my audience already knows about my life and can put the puzzles together to why and how things ended up happening, if that may be the case. If not, then they just show portions of it. So, whoever it is that's doing that shows what's important, what's repeated, what's never been said, what's crucially the most important of all information. But as far as it, from the age of 30 years old going, my homeless experience, it never ends. It's a constant thing. When I'm 30 years old, I'm literally with a duffel bag, not duffel bag, but like a business bag, like I'm carrying a dead body, and I'm just walking up and down the streets, and it's just pure embarrassment and disgrace, and I'm thinking it's not going to last that long. And even in that bag, I still had clothes from when I was 16 years old, 15 years old, and this is the truth. And because I didn't grow a whole bunch, and because I kind of just sprouted when I was about in 8th grade to about close to about 5'10", 5'9", and didn't really grow much after that. Yeah, that was the case, and then I started using a backpack for the remaining time, because you figure out what's very resourceful, what you need to get you through, because house, apartment, and all these things and these things you used to dream of are all out the window. That's gone forever. And I know I'm gonna lose my youth, and trying to start over and trying to keep my mind fresh and keep my mind sort of adventurous and journey enjoyment, as opposed to carrying a lot of luggage crap. And I took the luggage bag that I had before I started using a backpack all the way to Colorado, and I was about 31, Colorado Springs, and then that's when I figured out, I think backpack is probably going to be much more efficient. But very little, I think, has been very discussed about what those experiences were when I was from 25 to 30 years old. And all I did the entire time, even before that, because I moved out of my apartment at 23 or 24, mid 24, that I ended up living only on Craigslist. And one of the things that I recall that I was working for the federal government that my mother would like to know, and some of the things is, people have such a power of force and influential among other people that don't know the story. So they look at your skin color, your hair color, your background, who your mother and father, whether they're wetbacks or they're blacks or whites, Asian, and religious beliefs. And we all know what's the entertainment and who gets in through the doors, who gets out, and what everybody wants, and what is being picked much more often, regardless of what anybody says. But I was 27 years old. I was working for the federal government at EPA, and by this time, stress is through the roof. I'm really this is probably one of the first jobs where it's a little less stressful, but I'm really just trying to start my life over, just completely over. I'm still young. The cancer diagnosis that I got, which is not technically a cancer, that never leaves. that never left me. That always basically followed me and haunted me. And it's always like when I'm gonna die, when I'm, get cancer. It's just this sense because you already felt that death sentence from a doctor, and I lost all my hair, and I was dying in real life. That never leaves because you're so traumatized. And the only thing that made me sort of feel better from that is when I didn't talk about it. But when I did find somebody else had cancer, and then that's when I would say something, or somebody was going through a really hard time. But I didn't like other people to know about that because it's just not a good thing. The only thing is that in the process of getting your girlfriend and all these other situations, then you become less selective. They don't want you because you're a degenerated fuck up. You are undesirable genetic that can pass on the undesirable mutation to an offspring, and therefore they have to keep the healthy girls and health or whatever it is a lot of the times out of the picture, and then people will act hesitant toward that. But the truth is that not all women want to have babies. So anyway, there's always adoption, but like I said, I'm 27 years old and I live with this. I work in there for about 5 months, and I think it's when I got fired from my job, and it was like the last 2 months that I was working there. I moved in Carrollton, where there was the transgender. I didn't know it was a transgender by the name of Barbara. And this lady was probably one of the meanest transgenders. Fucking, like, this person thought they were the platoon military, like, combat. Like, this person, like, I didn't know this person was a transgender at all. I just thought that, man, you're a fucking nasty fucking person. You're fucking, like, it wasn't just the actions. This person seemed to enjoy suffering and creating a persona that was just disgusting because I'd seen this person and this person knew who I was. And I felt that this person, the vibes of this person didn't feel good, but I decided to ignore it. It was a nice home. The luxury, the panels, the wood panels, the, wood grain furniture, and, and this old lady lived by herself, or this transgender. And this person was mean. Like, this person was very controlling. Like, I barely knew this person. This person was like, wanted to tell me what the fuck I was going to do, and had a lot of vengeance toward me about something. And I was thinking that this person was, I already knew that every place I started moving to, they knew something about my life, and they should know nothing about it, because I enjoyed coming in contact with people that knew nothing about me, never seen me, heard from me, or nothing, because it was nothing good. Word gets to these people, and it just got worse. And it did. It only got worse from there on out. Even before that, after my transplant, life only got worse. I never made anything. Never got a degree. Never went to school. Couldn't do shit. Got raped. Lost money. Car. It just bad shit. It was nothing good. I didn't get more equipment. I lost all the equipment. It just never got better. But when I was living in the last 2 months, 3 months, this person was like vengeful. How somebody has something really against you that they feel like they need to control you because they think they know the story, and then if it's not, they don't know the story, they just want to feel empathetic because that's the character and mascot they want to go for. They don't give a fuck. You fucking rape kids, and then and this person said they went to a non-denominational church, which was, I went to this church to this person a couple of times. And this is where I saw, when I walked in there, this is where I saw the girls from Chili's. I think that's Chantel's, who used his mom. Her daughter was the one that I saw over at Bill's, who ended up raping Frankie when I was a little kid, but it was on a different day that I saw this person. I talk about Chantel worked at Advanced Graphics, and she worked in one of the offices. And this is a long time ago. I just turned 23, or was it just after my transplant? I went to go have lunch at Chili's, and that's where I saw that girl. I don't know who the fuck she is. She didn't be no pornos and whatnot. Yada yada. I went about my life. But anyway, I walked to the non-denominational. I saw she had like 3 kids, and I saw her and she had like 3 kids, and it was some other guy, and some older guy. So I didn't think anything of it. I was like, wow, you girl's a pretty girl. So anyway, she's already married, kids, but she seemed to already kind of be waiting a little bit in a situation. Like, this person, some of the people at church knew who I was, and it was kind of weird because there should be nobody that knows who I am for any kind of fucking reason. There should be no reason. And I would go into church with this barber, and this person I just didn't like this person. This person was nasty, and she goes to a police officer, and then she goes and like picks her foot up and kicks the guy in the ass in the middle, and there's like and starts doing this to him. And I guess to make me feel comfortable or something. And I thought, holy shit, this person just kicked this person in the ass. Police officer, like, patted on, like, look, he didn't tackle your fucking ass. Never seen anything like that. It was in a church, though. It was right before you walk in. And I didn't think anything. I'm just like, really like, what the fuck? I'm just thinking at this time, I'm very young, thinking, fuck. You're just going to make things worse. Because when you do something like that, then all these other people and these are going to come after me for that. So anyway, go to church, get out, leave. And I think I went there once or twice just to make this person feel better, scope things out. I'm always scoping it out. It's never in comfort. Because by this time I've gotten 35 tickets. Jail is what my cancer recovery was like. And I end up losing my job and getting fired. And I was just pissed off and I didn't do anything wrong because I had reported somebody that before I got fired. I started working there in August when I was 27 years old, and I got fired like in March or February. So when December came, I had somebody that was murdered. My Joni, my aunt's ex-boyfriend, her baby's daddy, Chico, I was at his house like prior months when all this stalking was happening, and he was shot to death in a drug deal. And I saw him him in a casket. He was at the funeral. His daughter and his kids were all crying, and it was just try to make things situation. Jeremy was with me. At this point in my life, this is really fucking bad, because whatever attention and all this crazy shit and GPS tracking system and everything that's going on, what happens is if I come around people that are just selling a couple pounds, and this is different types of drug deals when they're people from Mexico, you're dealing with people that are uneducated, cartel. These are not fancy drug deals like thugs, the type of thugs you think about 50 Cent, or some sort of cocaine deals like you think this is the Johnny Depp movie. This is a different type of shit, okay? And so I go to his house, and I think that there's something that has to do with this, that probably one of these other guys found out and then went off and killed him. And this becomes very paranoia for me, because there's just too much collision with too much attention that somebody would have been able to pick that shit up, and then they react on it, and then in that moment things get bad, and then he gets killed. I go December before Christmas, and it's like November, and I go to the very top tower, and I report it to security. And I said, look, I've had this gay community doing this, and this is what's happening. I said, look, I have a clean criminal. I don't do anything. I don't do drugs. I'm just here. And I'm like a straight A student when I'm working there. Did a really good job. And tell her that this guy got killed and murdered. I said, I think it's important to know because I think maybe they're going to come after me or do something. But then, so I reported, and I said I went to the police. I think I went to the police. I don't know if I did, or I was too nervous to go to the police because of the corruption and what was going on. Because I know the jail system, the courthouse, you're just a worthless dead body. You get thrown in there, rot to death. They throw you in a conditioning system that they have, and you have no freedom. You're brainwashed. You die that way. You're worthless. You will never have freedom there. And your life is just good for resources for somebody else, not for yourself to make it really that much more better. It's just for somebody else, and they squander your ass, and that's how the system is. And so within 2 months, I get fired, and when I get fired, I walk into the barber's office, and she's like waiting, right? And there's nobody that lives there but one old man. And there's an old man that lives there, and he's like 65 years old, and I think he's retired, and does little games, or not games, but he had like little kid drawings in his room, and was on his computer, and he was a really nice guy. He didn't bother anybody. Very intelligent. I don't remember what he did for a living, and it was most of the time stayed in his room. Anyway, I get fired. I walk in, and I'm sit down on the couch, or not on the couch, but against the wall. There's little like chairs, kind of like this, comfy, and I'm just like, I'm bummed out really bad. I've just lost the best job I've had, and Barbara is in the making either something to eat or something, and comes over to me, looks over at me, walks over. And there's no reason for me to have any conflict. There's nothing that has built up to acknowledge this person, that I hate this person. But this person knows that I particularly don't feel the best of comfort around them, because I'm just very withdrawn away. Just very withdrawn away from this person. I'm just there, and I'm just kind of like bummed. And this person walks up to me and goes, bam, and like, I'm talking about hits me on the back of the side of the head. Like, I feel my brain shake. Like, I get dizzy, like, hard. And I go like this to pick up my head. Like, hey, what the hell's wrong with you? What the fuck? And I'm just sort of thinking to myself, I could crush this fucking bitch to death. And this old lady was in great shape. Or this transgender was in phenomenal shape. And while I'm living there in those 2 months, there's a couple of times I come home. And before I go any further, this person gets away. I was like, what the hell's wrong with you? I said, what the hell you do that for? And I don't even remember what this person said. She was like, you shouldn't have lost your job or some shit like that. And this person was like trying to be my mother. And this person turns out that was generating all the attention from Sarah Cooper. The behavior, she brought over a little girl occasionally. There was like this little girl that used to come over, was like 4 or 5 years, probably like 5 years old, 7 years old, 5 to 8, I'd say 6 to 8 years old. And I've seen this kid maybe 2-3 times playing on the piano. And I thought, and she said, oh yeah, that's the kid next door. She comes over sometimes and plays the piano. She's taking piano lessons. And I thought, oh wow, that's cute, that's nice, a little kid playing piano. She looked like a little doll. And she was just there playing piano, and Barbara was sitting next to her, or standing over her, and was just, I guess, having a practice session. This Barbara didn't know how to play piano, but she had one of her. And I thought, I was like, oh wow. I was like, yeah, I've always wanted to play piano. Piano's pretty cool. So, anyway, and this is one of the conclusions, and I'll lead up to this. And this is the information I don't know how I can attach it to information now that's being told to me. So I show up, and this lady seems to be regurgitating personal information. She begins to talk about Miguel raping Frankie and Diana slapping my mother, which all happened. And the way that she does this, she goes, yeah, you know that guy right down there? Yeah, just don't worry about him. Yeah, you know, he went to prison or some shit like that. I noticed like 3 houses down is like a Mexican family, but they're like a Mexican educated family. And I don't really think anything of it because, like, even before she said that in her house, I'm walking in the driveway or park my car on the side of the curb, and I'm sort of getting out of my car, walking up with my bag, and she walks up and she starts, I don't know, talking about something, and yeah, forget them. She's pointing because she's referencing the house I live in, which you have to know where I live. My father and my mother live, and Miguel and Diana. So I don't know anything about Frankie, about this situation, because I'm being conditioned and molded to this way. There's never anything that's being told to me. I have flashes of it to think about what the fuck happened. What happened with this particular type of situation? Why is Frankie not, behaving this way? Why is he kind of teary or the situation? He never says anything. And it's because he's in prison. He's talking. You can't. He's 250 pounds. There's already been, by this time, there's already other guys that's already come along and raped Frankie. A lot of them. And that's why it continues to happen. Because guess what? Remember the police officer showed up and didn't want to do... Okay, now this is forgiveness time. So anyway... And I don't know this, but this person is very vindictive toward me. Like, I don't like Hector. Hector, he's the enemy of Frankie. And Sarah Cooper, I'm Sarah Cooper, and I'm fixing it. I'm the one that did it. I'm going to get involved. But I'm getting punished for it. I'm entirely getting punished for it. This is why they just now try to take the receipts of any profitable gains and heroic acts and the credibility of desirable fame to the audience, whatever that's 10 people at the church or 100 people or whatever the world or whatever it is, and the gossips, and they found out, the white supremacist hero. And I don't know any of this, so it's hard for me to attach why this person is behaving this way. And this person is playing investigation as well. So right off the bat that I come to think of this, I think that Madison Cooper, which is, to my understanding, I think was supposed to be Michelle's daughter, but I think is actually Ken Cooper's mistress daughter. So anyway, supposedly, or whatever, what do they call it? Where you put somebody's sperm into another mysterious lady just to make a baby, and you just say that it's yours, but you didn't have sex with them or whatever. It was one of those situations. Whatever it is, I just know she was part of that family. And it makes me think that she plays the piano. Either plays the piano or had a couple of years of playing piano. Because Barbara was then making a mockery because she brought some over 6 or 7 year old kid. Little girl looked a lot like Madison would have looked like when he was a kid, and was playing on piano. And I thought, why is this person, this isn't just a coincidence. And because this person seems to be, let me fight for Sarah Cooper. Now, this is some of the hostile situations right before I start to become homeless and get raped. And this person makes it hard for me to get my deposit. I tell this person I'm going to leave in 2 weeks. I sell my turntable. I finally sell a QFO that I had for I don't know, I think I bought the QFO for like $1,200 brand new when I took it to the hospital. And I sold it right after I got fired because I needed to pay for rent and wanted to get rid of some equipment. And I sold it to some guy and for like $500. I paid $1,200. It was like in mint condition, like brand new mint condition. I hardly really used that turntable outside of the hospital ever. I may have had 25 hours on that if that, 20 hours on that turntable, other than using it in the hospital. So for $500 to pay rent, have a little bit of extra money, be able to get some chicken or whatever. I never buy food in any of the places and want to put my food in the fridge. Never. Because I don't trust these people. I don't feel comfortable. I don't ever do that in any of the houses because it is not a paranoia. If I don't feel comfortable in that house at all, it's too easy accessible for somebody to retaliate, because when you tell somebody all a bunch of drama, a bunch of bullshit, the homeowner and anyone else that lives there and anyone that walks to that house can easily put poison, feces, or do something to my food where I just don't feel comfortable. Even if they don't do nothing, they move the food around or they mix the food up a little bit just to mentally play games with me like they're doing something to me. And then I don't feel comfortable anymore. I absolutely think, because there's a lot of sick people out there. There's a lot of sick people that do a lot of gross things out there in life. And, we watch them on fast food restaurants, and it's happened to me where I've been food poisoning, and I know it wasn't food poisoning. It was because they put like feces or they put some sort of toilet shit in there and fungus, and I didn't even know to mix it up in a Jack in the Box taco, and then I'm fucking, within 2 hours, I'm fucking vomiting blood and shit. And I don't want to go back to that fucking shit, So, I have to spend more money. I don't get to utilize the house in any way, no comfortability. The person at that house then accuses me mentally, but there's never a conversation that we know we can't trust them, because putting food and sort of using a kitchen for your sort of cooking meals or whatever is a form of sort of comfort in the home to live among others. And when you don't do that, it's just like, okay, well, it's like it's like cornering me and then telling me it's my fault. You threaten me, you act hostile. I have to protect my own life. I'm doing everything to protect my own life and my well-being. It's safer. That way I'm more at peace than I am to be thinking, did somebody just shit in my food? Did somebody put some fucking toilet shit in there? Did somebody fucking spit in it? Or I have to be in my well-being to be comfort, so that I can think about something else the next day and focus on being more comfort. I'm not going to trust these people, because the harassment, the following, the firing, the cops there's no recovery of the disease really. It drives stress through the roof. I'm fucking beyond anything, I don't want to have hair falling out, like chunks of it and shit. I can't be having that, and I have to stay calm. I have to just stay moderate and stay mellow. It's just better for me. Things will calm down. Gotta have, some discipline, faith, to believe that things will just kind of wear off, and I just go on about my life and school and all that other, girlfriend and dates, but I have to financially get get away from this danger. That's always number one, because, the smallest things that you appreciate so much, being able to get in your car and, go get go to Popeye's Chicken, and get some, fried okra, some French fries, and some gravy, or Golden Chick. That Golden Chick is really good chicken. I don't eat meat though, but I did at that time, and just to be able to get like a strawberry lemonade. You go out there and get something, and it kind of makes you feel, and it's not about spending the money, it's just something that's very simple. It's not the healthiest, but it's comfort. It's a comfort meal sitting, and I get to eat in the comfort of my car, and that's what I did a lot of the times. But I think it's important for me to say something about this, because when I'm living at this house, and before this rape happens, this is like within 5 months before this rape happens, there's a tremendous amount of buildup. I didn't know that was a transgender. And there's already retaliation because Kenneth, the transgender movement, and then you got the trend. So Every time I'm getting retaliated against, you don't understand that I don't know this information what other people know about the rapes. They only know about a couple of them. They only know at least well, this guy is the one that's paying for it. There's 10, two other that haven't been confirmed. There's a total of 12. But 10 have confirmed, 2, the evidence is like 70 to 80% that they did. Because I actually didn't physically see them. It was very much like that. And I think it's important because my mother does not want Sarah Cooper to be representing Frankie, me, or playing detective. This person wasn't in for any good reason. See, and that's the power of this sort of authority that people think that they have, or they trust somebody that thinks no law enforcement. How many times have you gone to people that have gone to prison and jail because a corrupted police officer and a corrupted detective and a corrupted judge or a corrupted lawyer that you think is defending you and is not defending you? Everybody has horror stories of this. So, but when you put the mask on and you think somebody's an angel and you wear a crucifix and all this other bullshit, they're bullshit. They're monsters. And they will do anything to cover up the sexual background secrets. They will do anything for them because they may have not had anything in life that ever made them understand things, especially from a point of a Mexican family that comes from Mexico. And then having my father in the picture, who was highly educated. But I think, they wanted control over my mother, and this is the way they did it. So my mother doesn't know about this. So when my mother thinks, Hector's not calling me, he's pissed off. Do you know who's training me and fucking slapping me? I'm telling you, this person slapped me across the head. And I was just thinking to myself, I could fucking crush you. I could kill your ass before the cops got here and then tell you put your hands on me. And I didn't do that. And this person had no right to do this. This is the retaliation because this person didn't know I got, I don't know if I told them I got fired right away and then they approached me, or then they approached me, slapped me, and then I said I got fired. But this person was like, oh, I can be your mother. He was like, I can be your mom. So you have to understand that I remember watching the big screen TV in her living room. It was an old school big screen TV. Like the one Robert Zarate had in his house. It was old school, and I thought, I guess it was really nice furniture, and looked like about a $300,000, $400,000 house, and I think it was 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms. But I remember looking at the TV, and I saw this news reporter, blonde girl. I was like, oh wow, this girl's hot. And I was just listening, and I felt like they were watching me on camera or some shit. And she goes, and Barbara starts role-playing. And I don't know what the fuck. When I'm thinking, I'm sort of thinking to myself like it's an acid trip. I'm not on drugs, but I'm just kind of be creative with the situation, and kind of laughing like, oh wow, And I'm listening, but this person then looks at me and goes, the TV or something, and he goes, and then sits down like this. And this is before she slaps me, 3 weeks before she slaps me. And I'm thinking, what are you talking about, TV? She was like, the TV? You don't, the TV or something. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? What is TV as? News channel? What are you talking about? And so things are getting really out of proportion. When I first go to this non-denominational church in Carrollton, I think it's on Hebron. It's a pretty big church. It's like 1,500 people that show up there. It's 1,000 people that show up there, and it's about 1,000. And I get there, and it looks like a lot of people know who the fuck I am. There's a lot of people. And I'm just looking around. I'm always polite. You don't understand. I'm like Mr. Good Boy. I'm like Mr. Good Boy. I work for an office. I'm happy to work for an office. I try to keep my professionalism. And I'm always fucking as professional and polite as I can and grateful. And I use sort of what looks and youth that I have to then feel good in front of my presence, because I have to have these sort of people do that, because I know that there's so many people watching, because I don't want to cause a ruckus that, I'm becoming a victim, and I don't know how these people are finding out who I am. Some of them, when you're young, there's just nothing like it. There's nothing like it when you're young, and because you always have people that envy you, because you got a full beard, you got full hair, you're young, you're somewhat built, you seem intelligent, you're a good genetic offspring, good vibe. It's kind of like a Justin Bieber or any of these people that have these sort of looks, and clean cut, proper, keep yourself clean, fingernails clean cut, you sound some sort of adequate intelligence and not crazy, with some creativity, and having a lot of the good elements of a good young man, and with potential, high levels of potential if they get sort of discovered. But there's nothing like that when you're young. Nothing, especially when you're around young women, and you see older women, like when they're in their early 30s and you're 27, you're 25 years old. There is nothing you can come close to that. What that vibe of, what that feeling is like, it's nothing, and that's why you can't really measure life. There's a lot about that in life you really can't measure. That whenever you lose it, people don't want you to have that. People get real envious of that, and they want to take that away because they didn't get it and they don't have it anymore, or they never did, and they just want to feel good because it feels good. If I have to eat in a trash can, so are you. And that's the mentality. And I'm walking in there, and I leave, and I'm thinking I'm not thinking I'm going to come back to this fucking place. This place does not make me feel, there's a lot of different places, spiritual beliefs, but I have to just stay simple, moderate, and just progress slowly. My living situation, my job, insurance on my car, whether my car is going to last any longer. I'm trying to get away from any attention that's going on in my life anymore, because it's just not good. And that was kind of the situation. So I thought I'd talk about it because, my mother doesn't know about that. That's the thing about my mother's intelligence isn't for me to take advantage of, but I was looked at that's all I was there for. And it's not a cleanly situation. It is a situation that I know that she needs help. I know that because she's young and because she's my mother. It is not just because the attachment identity that you say it's your mother. Because there's mothers out there that are very smart, very educated, or just very smart and intelligent. This person is like a peasant in a fucking village without any fucking money, and then starts making bad choices, but makes the best choices that she can and just follows orders. But you have to but they turn the tables against you, because the number one thing is that when you lose your youth and time, you're never going to be able to talk about it again. Never. Just like Frankie. And they squander it. They know they're going to die to the cemetery. When you meet people that you think, oh, he's a nice old man, dandy little old man, bullshit. I used to go to nursing homes, and I used to come across people that were very old. I heard the crying of cancer patients. I was 16 years old, 15 years old, 14, for many years. And it didn't take me more than maybe a couple years to finally come to grips that you don't know what these people did to get there. You think because somebody got old that it was a finally dandy old life and they were strong. No, it's because they squandered out everyone else around them throughout their life. throwing them in the fire so they could survive, because they were so fear of death and they wanted the glories of this life more than anything, that were willing to kill you and your children and devour them for a paycheck. And when they get old, they want you not only to understand and feel sorry for them, that's why they do it. And it's a disgusting fucking thing, and at the worst. And they don't ever want you to find that out, because they don't ever want you to find that out. So his battery's running low, so I gotta plug up my phone here in a second. So you really don't want they don't want other people to know about this shit. So, and it's about control, especially when you add Michael Jackson, fame, and they want their clan. They'll do the exchanges afterwards. Let me just punish my kid for a little while, make him go get a job. They have no idea the time penitentiary what Frankie's going through, or what I had to go through. What's all on that table in my house, in my dad's house, my mom's house, becomes someone else's. And it did. There's no comfort of going to movie theaters. I've been to one movie that I recall, only one movie in my lifetime, ever in my life, with my mother. One movie theater. And that's not because my mother was retaliating. It was just like how my mother functioned in life. You know, she's an immigrant, uneducated, thinks about her kids, has to survive a different way. And that was it. I went to one movie my whole life. And she dropped me and Frankie off a couple of times. And I wanted to go see Batman. I think it was Batman Returns, and then I think I saw the first one in the movie theater. But I remember seeing the Penguin and all the creative Christmas type shit in the movie theater. So I know it was Batman where Catwoman plays, and I went to go see that movie. So and was it Nightmare Before Christmas? I went to go see the movie. Yeah, I saw it at the movie theater, but I don't know if it was Frankie or not. I don't remember what other movie you saw, but I do remember I saw the Batman movie. And anyway, so we get to you got to understand that, you know, it's such a horrible situation, because they, you know, it gets lost forever because they have a hard paycheck. And they start picking out, and psychology didn't show that. It's just like a bunch of inmates. When you go to prison, if you do a really horrible crime, they put you in with bad inmates. You stab somebody the hell out of with a knife, they're going to put you in with guys that killed people and did stabbings and decapitations and did horrible shit. If you just stole a car, then they put you in the car with people that did that level of crime. And it segregates you in those types of sections. So that has nothing to do, because, you know, somebody that said stab the hell out of somebody, or you be in a dorm, or you be in a jailhouse with somebody that really decapitated his wife's head. They really did, but you did it in self-defense. But you're sitting in there for 2 or 3 years before they find out if you're not guilty, but you're still in there with the crazies. It doesn't matter. You kidnapped somebody, you did like a hostage situation. You didn't hurt anybody, okay, well, they're going to put you in there with somebody that just, you know, did a mass shooting, you know. So they segregate you, that even though you're a good person and, you know, you're not as maybe monstrous as these other people, you're with them. That's psychology. That's what they're going to fucking do. Doesn't have a good separation tool for that. So when it comes to my family and all these situations are going on, you know, it's very demented, because their murder-suicide. I'm going to damage myself as much as I can to get to this goal because I feed off this emotion of control. I know better. It's just drama. Oh, I know I'll get away. I'm old. I know I'm just a girl. Oh, it's just psychology. Oh, it's just not because you're not white. No, it's not because you're black. No, it's exactly all those reasons. But this is all suffering table earnings from Frankie, my mom, me, my dad. This has nothing to do with anybody else. Then, guess what? If they know that I'm the eyes and the mouth of everything that's going on, then if you kill that person and drown them out, you're able to propel forward. But they're not going to tell you that. They're going to wait 10 years. They're going to send a police officer like they did to me. They're going to keep, I'm 38 years old. Did I complete all the rapes? I was 39 years old. It's been now probably, 2 years that I had made these videos and drawings that I said, if you count all of them, that's 10 homosexual rapes and 2 that haven't been necessarily confirmed. They're about the 70 to 80% range that they did. And that's only what I was there for. I'm 39 years old, 40 years old when this happens, when I'm having to do this. This is not me lying or covering your shit up. But do you see how I'm talking about this 20 years almost after my dad dies? This is 35 years. This is 30 years, 35 years before this information is now coming out. Who do you think enjoy themselves at the radio station of hip hop? Building a crew of people, of allies and comfort. Now, we all know racism, so you gotta throw a white guy in there. Now it's just the blacks have to help the white because we have to end racism. But you have to understand that this person, Kenneth, is not only engaging, it's his mother and the crew that are doing it, the police officers. And you're never going to trail it to these because the people that are doing this, you're never going to trail it to them. Remember, I don't know what's going on. I don't know anything about fame, TVs, celebrities and getting involved, my mom's house, Frankie being raped. In fact, I just believe that Frankie probably even took some of the fucking money and took off because that's why I'm at fucking having him fly during the transplant and I'm dying. This is why, we get into an argument when my dad dies and Julian, you got to understand that the turmoil between me and Frankie was not horrid. It was just like, what happened to the fucking money? What happened to you? What went on here? What the hell's going on here? Because there was a balance between me, Frankie, and Julian, understanding that there was going to be an equal dividing of the pie. Half of everything in that house is just going to my mom, period. We don't want to talk about that. But that portion. And that when my mom's taken care of. But I knew my mom's boyfriend wasn't good and rotted. And then I began to worry about this situation. And it's like, well, that's not her money. That's his money. He'll steal that money, kicks her fucking ass out, slaps her around like she told me that she got slapped before, or controls her, and I've seen him control her very violently before, and now she doesn't have anything. It's my mother. So now I have to fight for her. And what is sure enough did I tell you that he took the fucking baby? Yeah, you wait 25 fucking years later to find that shit out too. That's 35 years later you find that out too, that I was there for when that happened. But it doesn't matter. Where did Michael Jackson credit go? It didn't go to me. Now it's just going to change perception and genius. It's all about how stupid you are and how calculating and masterminding I can be. But one thing is for sure, when your time runs out, that's it. There are many facets to not understand what you're really losing that doesn't get discussed as you get older, even in the domestic world that we live in. Because you're just trying to survive and eat better on a meal than anyone else. You don't want to be the one that gets burned alive. You also want to go to the cemetery knowing that you can prepare yourself for your mortality, thinking you're just going to go to heaven. You're a worthless bitch, or you're a worthless motherfucker that was watching a little boy get raped, and you told everybody how you were a sheriff and you had your team do it for you. And they did it successfully. While Frankie's eating a mouthful of dog shit
literally human feces. You know, God knows of what detailed, disgusting fucking things that I don't know happened to Frankie. You know, fucking Frankie in his ass and then making him eat his own feces. You know, fucking crazy shit. 10 homosexual men, you're gonna get a Kenneth story at the radio station for forgiveness, and you're gonna feel sorry for that shit. Remember kidney failure? Remember, let me tell you, stupid. Oh, hold on, let me work. Because you don't think I'm smart enough to understand the emotional transition of behavior, of interaction, of what you're really trying to feed off of, but you're going to say it's something else. But I don't know what the particular subject it is, because you got to understand who's the team at my job, who's the team in these people. Oh, that's why, motherfucker. Well, I think it's important to discuss because I don't know those details. Like, I talked about the gruesome details that happened in Mexico with Frankie. That when I was molested and raped as well, that before it got really violent and they raped Frankie violently, the way that Frankie's sexual behavior was entirely surrendering. It wasn't just pain, it was like, this is who you are, and this is who we are. But I get to do this to you because this is who you are. And I was the only one like, get the fuck away. And I was like, what are you doing? And it was gruesome because I still remember, I remember seeing flashes of it, and I could not understand, like, that didn't make any fucking sense. You know, like, because I look very quickly and I see Frankie just being pork roasted. You know, one guy fucking him, the old man who hung himself, and the other uncle that died of throat cancer, like 6-7 years ago, doing the same thing. And I just look and I get scared. And I don't know, like, I'm 5 years old. And they didn't want me in the picture. So they waited to get to Frankie. And you gotta understand, you know, my dad didn't like that. My dad got upset and said, you let Frankie where? You know, and it's just like, I still don't know the story, how he ended up. I think my mom left him there, or like he wanted to walk to my grandma's for a moment to go pick up some food or something, and he didn't show up for like 3 hours, and he showed up on that front doorstep. And I remember when we opened the door, because I kept on asking for Frankie, where did Frankie go? Because me and Frankie were always very close together. Everywhere we went as kids, it was constantly like, it was like a sort of like a Mario and Luigi kind of thing. Like, it was the longest road trip it was like a 17-hour road trip. I don't know, it was over 12 hours, that's guaranteed. We went on a road from Mexico to Texas, and in the back of my dad's camper truck, little tiny truck, brown truck, with 2 bean bags, knowing what had happened to my brother. And remember him looking at me and saying, don't say nothing to Mom. Don't say nothing. Don't say nothing to Mom and Dad. Don't say nothing. And he's crying in the back seat, like, even before this. And we were in the back seat, and he's just looking, and when I look into his eyes, he's like not crazy, but like somebody who's fed this sexual, like, this is all you understand. Now, you're going to get a Ken Cooper story when he shows up. You're going to get a Sarah Cooper. You're going to get your fucking trophies for Madison and, you know, the excuse stories. Because it doesn't come over here. But it's difficult because there's not sort of this sort of legacy of the Melendez and Palomo that, you know, are dignified, where, you step with us and you'll die. You know, like the Donald Trump, you know, this fucking, you know, somebody says something to his daughter, gets on a TV show, somebody lays a finger on her just joking around, and the talk show host says, get the fuck, don't touch her again. Shit like that. They just take whatever they want. And doesn't matter the president or the shit. But I think it's important because I believe that Frankie is not. I think he's in a nursing home, and he is incapable of thinking for himself. And he's been like that for a long time, and they won't let me contact him. If the case that for some reason Frankie made a full recovery, or he's perfectly fine, and he's just, the mental state that Frankie had, and it's not the decline that puts me in power, it's impossible. Because he also knows that my mother's doing this, and this is what makes it worse. Sarah and Ken knew this when they showed up, acknowledged it to my dad, but didn't tell him, and were playing test games and approaching him like this, like, and then sizing you up to see whether your body language indicates you understand something, what's going on, and so did Ken Cooper in his police uniform. As he looks over at my dad and goes like that. But he's talking about certain things that are going on in life. It's difficult. Then he gives him a handgun within a couple of years. So I think it's important for me to talk about because it's all masterminded. It's all masterminded in the intent to cover it up, to manipulate the situation. Oh, it's just this, it's that. You're not going to get anything off of Michael Jackson and Levitt, because in time they will get there. You stay secure in your situation, it's just a buffet, right? We're become the buffet. That's what we are. My immediate family becomes a buffet for anybody that wants to take from it. That's what they do. It's I'll take this, I'll take that too. Yeah. Oh, forgiveness time. Time is running out. There's the precious things of living a normal life and going to school and riding your bike to school, just like little kids do. You have your little brother or sister with you, you take care of them. You see little kids walking up and down the streets. They go about their life. That's not normal for Frankie. And it doesn't necessarily become normal for me. It was a very normal life for me. But Frankie is enduring a level of pain because people think that I know that I'm moving forward so much that it doesn't bother me, so then they say, okay, it doesn't bother him, and we just got to take care of the situation. Frankie is enduring a level of punishment that it is gruesome. It doesn't end there. When I get to high school, they're going after the money. And I'm going to send my mother these pictures. These motherfuckers, a couple of them are fucking dead now. Doesn't matter. I'm 15 fucking years old. I'm 14 years old. 13 years old. These motherfuckers want to find out. And they're talking shit about Michaela. They're talking shit, Miss Smith. They're talking shit about. They're just playing investigation. And I think it's important. It's better to have some sort of investigation than not anything. But I think it's important to talk about because it's the ideas that these people then feed off Michael Jackson, like the leader has to be protected, it can't go to the public, because if it does, it's just like, oh, the leader, so even though this person's not involved, it doesn't change. I don't, obviously the day of age now is not the same anymore. It's not like what it used to be. And so when I'm, celebrities don't do that anymore. And when they go to hospitals and do all this other shit, they just don't do that shit anymore. And it's much more protected. Plus, you don't have nobody like Michael Jackson. Nobody. There's some people that are kind of close to it, but it doesn't matter how big of an audience. Nothing, you won't get that again. It becomes political power, and so this just bleeds for the rest of my life. So when I'm homeless and I'm going through these, from 25 to 30 years old, these topics are also being brought up, and it continues to follow me. I can't live a normal life. I don't get any money from this, and they're just taking advantage of the situation. There's not really much you can do without any money, and when you're having law enforcement taking shit away from you and authority, your freedom. When you're having your freedom taken away and you're in violation of your human rights and shit, you lose everything. You really do lose everything because there's no sense of peace. There's no peace of mind at all. You can't pick up an instrument. You can't just start studying an instrument and just live sort of, and then maybe build a career out of it. There's very little that you can do because you don't know what can happen. You get into your fucking car, you lose your job, living on the streets. You just study for nothing. You go and try something else, and all I have in my mind is that all this money has been jacked and robbed and stolen. They don't care. But you got to keep in mind some of the things that piss me off that I don't say anything about, that I didn't act on it, but I realize, this person's just more fortunate. When you start noticing some of these other friends that trashed your fucking house are living very comfortable and they don't give a fuck about your life anymore. And all they're still looking to do is to freeload and off you long after I have been thrown out of my fucking house. There was maybe one random guy I didn't even know that was like, his name was Andy. He was real skinny, and I think he moved to like somewhere in Texas, like Albuquerque or Albany, Texas. And I met this guy a few times. He's real skinny, bald guy, and I barely knew this guy. I don't think he was a straight guy either. But I remember he looked at me and he goes, "Hector, take control. People are taking advantage of you." And I barely knew this guy. I barely knew this fucking guy. I knew these guys and other friends from Richard's brother, or other people. They didn't give a fuck. They were driving. Chris Martinez was driving a $30,000 fucking car on his 21st birthday. Honda Prelude VTEC. His 21st birthday. While I'm 16 years old, they bring over he was over a little over $2,000 for a brand new Pioneer 600, which is state of the art. What they play at the Standard at all the clubs. And he'd leave his mixer over at my house a couple of times. And once he felt comfortable, because he knew I couldn't go anywhere. But you got to understand, people are just for drugs, and not just drugs that I was doing it because I was on probation. But it was just for me to navigate social connections, to build relationships, so I can find out, have connections. I need to ride somewhere, I need to smoke a joint, kind of find some relief, hang out with friends. You have sort of a gang support with people, because I didn't have really no family. But I was very stern of protecting my mother, and saying stuff about my mother, and my father. But I think it's important for me to talk about because, it's hard to think that how much they got away with and how nasty human beings are. That's very difficult to do. I'm not saying I'm smarter than them. That's not what I'm saying. Is how selfish and greedy, how self-absorbed it is to, I'm going to get the best profits of this and then walk away. And you'll never get that time again. You'll never get that life again. Even if you spend 20 years and you're like, I get to retire early and I made $1 million where I could have, it doesn't change the fact you are aging and you're losing your prime in youth. You will never get that again. There are many things that you're going to lose from that. And for somebody to just say, it's percent, in the overall picture of the life existence that you have, there's reinventions you can do, and beauties and magic that can happen. It is a drastic loss, period. And they want to say that it wasn't. And they don't want to go into the details to what you think that understand. If you don't think you really lost a whole lot, then it's not going to affect you. If you understand the details of that, you're going to be very traumatized by it. And for me, watching people old die, get sick and die, and having to be around this and be around an old man, and my whole future was set for me, and they just took everything from me. The financial part of it I was going to need, and the security. So I can build, because I knew out of all the friends and like 10, 15 friends that came over all the time for partying and shit, I had the absolute willpower and good mindset 10 times out of all of them. to be very successful and be something that somebody would want that in the industry, not a fucking drug addict, or to be something else successful in life, you know, you know, eating well, exercising. There was much success in my life that could happen, and it takes a lot of hard work, and I don't get it for free, and basically I did do all that labor for free because I didn't have to show up to a fucking nursing home, you know, and that, you know, when nobody understands the endurance, your cardiovascular, emotional blocking shit has to be extraordinary to be able to deal with, you know, when you deal with people like that, your teachers, and you don't even know why people are doing things, that abuse takes a toll on you. You think it's just a normal childhood. This is $175,000 being thrown on a table, and I have a dead sister. That's the only people that it cost death of a little girl. Then people think twice. This motherfucking Barry, this piece of shit motherfucker, didn't give a fuck. This guy was literally sitting next to me. He starts fucking taking pills, and then he goes like this, and he's like training me. He's like training me. And then, you know, I'm sitting there, and he grabs a packet of paperwork and he throws it. So he's sizing and psychologically playing these fucking twisted games with me, engaging in fear, control. The White Ken Cooper detective was. I mean, it's fucking. My dad's getting his ass fucking beaten at a fucking barber shop. He fucking 65. My father is. At this time, how old was I? I think I was 10 when that fight happened. I was like 9. It's like 8. I was like 8 or 9. I was like 8 or 9 years old. My dad is 60. My dad committed suicide. He was 71, 72. Yeah, he was about 71, 72. So my dad was 64 years old. 64 to 65 years old. Fighting a fucking guy at a barbershop, bare hands, said, motherfucker, come on, you want something? You want to touch my son? And gets fucking. I thought this guy was going to kill my dad in front of me. I mean, he beats my dad's ass, but my dad put the best fight that he could have. He had blood dripping on him and shit, you know, in the car, and I was kind of like, oh, you know, like I felt kind of like Rocky Balboa, because I was watching Rocky Balboa movie and shit, like a coach in the background. Oh man, come on, you know, give him the fucking towel, you know, squirt some water in his mouth, you know, oh shit, man, you fought, you know. And I talked about this before. It was the craziest thing. I could hear my dad was breathing so heavy, because my dad was a very heavy smoker, biggest heavy smoker in life, and when he was breathing, and he was breathing heavy, like, I got these visions that his lungs were all black, like covered in tar. And which is true, because Dr. Tang, they did an X-ray on his skin and said they don't know why he got cancer, but his lungs were all black. They don't know why. They didn't know why. But anyway, you know, my father's getting into a full-blown fight. 64 years old. You know, full-blown fight. By yourself. You know, fuck you. You know, you're not doing this to my son. You know, you want to act like a faggot, you know? You don't think I know what that is? Okay, come on, let me show you. There's fucking 2 guys in there. Both of them are bigger than my father. This other guy that looks like Ken Cooper is much more bigger than my father. I mean, and, you know, this guy could have raped me. That, you know, my mom shows up. You know, it's difficult because it was a laughter joint, a radio station, and they're going to continue. You know, if your family scum that goddamn shit like that to an innocent family, we got nothing from the Michael Jackson experience. Like, we don't go to TV and be like, oh, you know, we met him and frankly got fucked, you know, it's just keynote, you know, feel sorry for me. Oh no, I'm just harder now because I'm rot and die in your prison, motherfucker. You'll never be a part of this again. But they don't care. They're so smart and so tactical. Time is dwindling down. $1 billion isn't worth anything when people treated you like scum everywhere you went. You couldn't even sit down at a restaurant. How money absolutely doesn't have any value, doesn't mean anything anymore. You drive a fucking, you own 10 Lamborghinis and you're driving around with a hot girl, and you think people scummed you and treated you like shit, spitting at your car, treat you. What do you think that money girl even fucking count anything for? What do you think this fame, you're looking cool, that doesn't count for shit? But they're very intelligent, and I don't, I don't think it's difficult because they mastermind it. I know exactly what they did, and that's when you're not intelligent enough what those motherfuckers are doing. It's not, and I'm not needle stack picking away, but that's exactly what happened. It's to play me for the fool and stupid. Oh, it's because I didn't want my you want a normal childhood experience. You didn't do anything. That's one of the most precious years of your fucking life. Your opening presents, your Thanksgiving, when little kids come over, Lucetto, Sophie. What do you think Frankie thinks of these other little kids showing up? Or another little kid that shows up? You don't feel normal. Remember how the fuckings they gave him? Because you're going to get a keynote story from 97 on the beat. This is hip hop station. This is, what's up, hip hop, keeping it groovy, you know what I'm saying? But you can't ever trail it back to the police officers. Oh, but let me point the finger over here. But let me point the finger over here. Then let me point the finger. I'm risking my fucking life that even if Frankie was perfectly fine and in fit, isn't going to change the fact that I'm risking my life and taking punishment for that too. And I still didn't get my dad's fucking money. And I still didn't get the comfort that I was looking for. But that's how they move in life. That's how they progress you forward. You get thrown, you're going to die anyway. And you're always, whatever success you're ever going to have, you're always, no matter what experience you came from, whether it was easy most of the time and then it got really bad before it got really good, or it was bad the whole fucking time, you get the fucking 50-cent record deal, $1 billion paycheck overnight, you're still going to have to look at a lot of suffering. People in the streets, people that are raped, people, when you go to foreign countries, you see people that even have it worse. So that suffering is always something you're always going to experience. You're guaranteed to see that experience again. And then you exercise that emotion for the understanding that you didn't want to have when you were younger, when you could have. And so it doesn't change. There's a lot of progressions in those four emotions that you're not going to be able to evaluate, and you're not going to be able to do anything about it. So then you start exercising that, and it becomes very difficult because, Frankie used to wear, Frankie used to have Mario, we used to have a Mario and Luigi t-shirts, and it was just kind of like the Mario and Luigi kind of thing, Frankie was when Frankie was 11 years old and I was 7 years old, we go to 7-Eleven. Frankie, had the Mario t-shirt. I had the Mario t-shirts and Luigi and Princess and Bowser, t-shirts and Jaws, with the little 3 slashes on the side of a t-shirt, We had all kinds of stuff like that in life. And Frankie used to have that t-shirt. Frankie used to have a Jaws t-shirt with 3 slashes on there. It was like a Jaws on the side, and it makes me think, I was like, he wore that to school at least once. That's attention to things that when people rings a bell. And, it's difficult. My mother couldn't walk into, she couldn't walk into some places just to get some panties or whatever, bra stuff for my mother, because she was a wetback Mexican. When you walk in there, they don't want to treat you. Back in those days, life was different. Obviously now it's more controlled, more diverse, but when you have somebody walking in with doesn't have an education and looks like they just freeloaded, and somebody's going to a job, it's the same thing like Cisco's mother. Cisco's mother I saw, and it was the only person that treated my mother with dignity and respect. maybe one other person Mexican, but I remember that, and they were nasty. They were very nasty, and but I thought I'd make a video of that because, everyone talks about suffering and all these different things. That money's hard to get and earn in life, and it's brutally fucking earned, brutally suffering throughout our life. My father, and how he got that money, and how he worked and suffered, and then my mother, her daughter lives next door, and she feels like she's going and getting raped, but it looks like Ivan's biological father, and then sold for sex. I don't know if it was Ivan's dad that constantly lived there. He may have been gay. I don't know. Maybe he was, but there was some other guy, and you got to understand that this is what's happening. That when these things happen in life, and her daughter, how colder do you think now she becomes toward dismissing human life? Oh, but you're gonna get, you're gonna get this whole story, and then I get to die. My mother, she very much, when I was around her, this is how I know that I was her jewels, because the beer genetics I worked out. She knew that she had paid such a price with Frankie, that she loved Frankie, and she knew that Frankie was like, she had to give him extra love. He got braces, I didn't, but she knew that this had happened to him, but like I was kind of like, okay, well, I wanted a boy in this life to have children and bring me grandchildren, to feel proud of, like that. And then I get raped. And so these things become such a high value and precious to a mother. She's throwing a child away. She's having this one raped. She's throwing a child over here that gets kidnapped. All the money disappears, and it's about hip-hop. You know what I'm saying? It's just, not white, no, not black, no, it's just, oh. Time went on, and, this wasn't stealing money. You can't get that back, and they'll do everything to make you feel that way, and they ultimately will get their success. They will, because sometimes revenge is the sweetest joy that you can get from somebody, and it sure as hell feels pretty good, because you're not going to get another chance again. And it's difficult, but I put these situations together in my homeless experiences, and I have to go through this brainstorm, like, why this motherfucker, and you're never going to trace it back to them. And when they do, there's people that feel so comfortable sitting on that fucking lawn chair, and they'll just think it's drinking a beer or drinking whatever the fuck it is, their ego, and think that, oh, I just deal with it. Oh, this is just what I did. Oh, it's just I know better. No, it's because they're putting themselves there. It's a bunch of bullshit, and it's so much of the Holocaust stories. You don't have a story to say. It's brutal. It's unbelievably brutal. When we're playing piñata, my mom got piñatas a couple of years for my birthday, and I think Frankie's birthday. We're using a bat. We're in our backyard. We had piñata, and I remember being a kid, and my aunt Lupe and Joni. We had some little couple, us Mexican kids having a Mexican party. It's just piñata. We have a cake. Ghetto, like people in the ghettos do. In the Mexican, this isn't, caviar, champagne bottles, and we, what is Frankie thinking of? Is this where? Because I heard Frankie said he was about 14 years old when I heard him say this, and I think it was somewhere after he was in martial arts. I think it was. It was somewhere after martial arts. He was about 15 years old, and I heard him say something that, maybe I should just hang myself or kill myself. He says something like that, but he said it in a way, not particularly like it was in a joking manner, but when you hear somebody say that and you know they don't have friends and they're still trying to act like it's a joke, that it really wasn't. Because he had maybe heard a person maybe say that. Like, it's almost like I know that he heard somebody say that as a joke, either on TV or a friend or someone, or maybe he said it in a joking manner, but inside you could tell like it really wasn't kind of a joke. He was in pain, and you're still gonna get a ballerina story. You can't get that time back. That's why they do it. It's fucking murder suicide. Run the fucking bomb right straight into your fucking ass. They don't care. And it's tough. It's a tough situation. It's a tough because I feel, me and Frankie never got into big fights. We had a little disagreements. Weed in my room. He kind of liked his room. He puts his things where he wants it. That was pretty much it. But we never had nasty, brutal fights when we were younger. And I'm always, we played soccer. Every time we played soccer outside, we played together. We played basketball. We all played. When we, frisbee outside, we play catch. Throw a football at each other. With Mickey, we all played together. It wasn't, never rode bikes together. But understanding that, I walk home from school with him. I watch him get off, and when he gets off the bus at DeWitt Perry and he has his blue backpack on, or these things that that I evaluate and look at, and I'm like, they're shuffling him now that I'm older in his school. They're shuffling him in high school. They're shuffling him in middle school. They don't give a fuck. This is about Michael Jackson, the gay movement. I don't give a fuck. They think they know what's right. This should have not happened. This was all boiled down with large team members of greed and selfishness. That's all it fucking was. And, it makes me feel so guilty because it's like, I should have done more. As aggressive as I was, and like I had to be the brains to be territorial in the situation. I would have fucking said all this shit when I was 20 years old, but I'm being so preoccupied with, hey, look, this is real cool, let me manipulate you, this is hip hop, like, what the fuck? Motherfucker, I don't get a credit card to go shop. I have the same clothes I have since I was 16 years old when I'm fucking 28 years old. When I'm 31 years old and I live what looks to be George Bush's cousin or stepbrother or half brother, I have in my duffel bag, luggage bag, fucking clothes. I still had clothes in there, at least a couple t-shirts from when I was 15 fucking years old. You gotta understand, if somebody's coming from a poor situation, and it's tough, I know what empathy is. Robert Zarate, who used to give me clothes all the time. Numbers of clothes. Everybody talked. He gave John Basili a pair of shoes a couple times. He'd always go to people, hey, you want a pair of shoes? Hey, you want a t-shirt? I mean, he was very loving. Hey, you want to go get a plate to eat? Hey, come on, man. Come on, let's go get something to eat. We got some good Mexican food. You like Mexican food? All right, man, come on, let's go. We're going to go. Come on, you want to come eat? Come on, man, we're going to go eat. Even if he didn't like you sometimes, come on, we'll go sit down at the restaurant here. Come on, let's go sit down. Cook up a, good Mexican meal, full course meal. And, for someone to feel empathetic for you like that at very young ages like that is extremely rare. Very, very rare. Because I was going to other people's houses all the time, and it just necessarily wasn't like that all the time. It wasn't like that, especially in this particular, action. people saying, "Hey man, you tell me you gotta be careful, man. The people that are taking advantage of you, you gotta be careful, man. This dude's crazy. Something's wrong with that guy. You gotta be careful with some of these people. They don't care about your life. Very few people will start to tell you that because they know they can just push you over and take anything they want from you, and they won't pay for it. And then when they pay for it, you pay for it very dearly because then they can't function anymore. But I hope the best that Frankie is whatever situation that is, but they know that this leads to, you have to lead this to a higher power because you can't fix it anymore. It's an acceptance of the existence of life, and that's what they did. They stole the fucking jewels and money that they wanted, and they did it in team efforts. You will never get that again. Do you know what the afterlife is like? Because you're as scared of that shit as everyone else is, except you lived it more comfortable before you fucking went off and said, "Oh, look, here, you just pearl gates of heaven, huh?" And you won't ever get that again. You can't fix that. When you're dead, you're dead. When you get ready to go to a cancer center, I know exactly what that's like. You don't ever, there's not a recovery. Whatever it is, it's a very harsh price because, not everyone is born with the same type of health. But if you're fortunate enough to have some pretty good genes and health and fit and stature, you can make a life happen. You can go to school, become creative, marry children, practice art, but it's hard because the little that you have and what our family had, people just stole and took, and it's just constantly think about, how lucky I was. Because the thing is that people didn't like me about it is because I had a big mouth. I had a fucking huge situation that, if Hector knew, fuck you. I was shouting. I was fucking, the way I came out of this world kicking and screaming was the same way I was going to be in this fucking world. And, I was very evaluating things that tens of people seem to not be able to understand and pick up very quickly. But, now you got a whole million of people singing songs and all this other shit to do something like that. You can't hold your bike to fucking ride your bike to school. Ride your bike to school to, and you want friends, you don't even have friends. Other people are just ripping your ass open. Well, guess what? You bought you a new house. Look whose ass we covered up for. You're just trying to go to school and have some friends and shit, live some kind of normal life, and you fucking can't. You go to the bathroom and you're in fucking pain. And you have people driving BMWs and all this other shit, and I don't care. And then when I started saying things, and when it came out, oh, let's turn the tables again. That is a very ruthless way to how my mother functioned. I understand that psychology may just shuffle you around like it does in prisons, and that's what they did, but disposing of human life like that, and your own kids, so that they throw it right back on her, you're going to get a King Cooper story. You're going to get a real-life pig. You're going to get a real-life excuse, and all the people that are going to cover up the bullshit. They knew I was there when Sarah and Ken showed up, and they were sizing my dad up. That is all lies. Kenneth knew, manipulated. He's an extreme manipulist when it comes to this type of sort of artistic acting bullshit of, opening, closing the oven, standing on position sides of the dead little girl. This is my dead sister. What happened to my sister Michaela the last 20 fucking years? No, what you had is Lynette fake her fucking death. We're gonna make it a little even now. Like, just horrible. Monstrous. Horrible and monstrous for something like that to happen. Because you want to, let alone my mom reunites with her family over there and all this other shit. I'm doing all this labor for nothing. It's like for somebody else. I give nothing. Nothing at all. When you give my treasures to somebody, you give my treasures to the wrong motherfucking people. Why do I? You're letting them have all the jewels in life that this country has to offer. It's better than every country in the world, nearly. And definitely in certain categories, for sure. And we're not getting anything. I'm not getting anything. Like, I don't know. I sleep with my mother's fucking friend, transgender, and they're beating the fuck out of me. And that's why my mom does the way that she does, because nobody gives a fuck. Because if you want to stay alive, you got to kill your own. You got to shoot your own. You got to kill your own fucking kids. Just to even get a life. So what if you've been raped a whole bunch of times and you don't get a boyfriend and girlfriend and all this other bullshit? You get to breathe and you get to look at trees and live in a fucking house covered in blood. But you're alive. That was life. That's just the life that you're going to get. But that you're alive. And that's the only way you get a fucking life. Because you can try to do anything morally correct and live so sophisticated properly, with dignity and, with this moral right hand, not going to happen. And, you're going to get shut down. It's like a courtroom or some shit. Anyway, we've been talking for about an hour and a half, making a video, and